There's no such thing as perfection. It's like, what is perfection? No, but I just want to be perfect. For who? Because it's these standards that we're trying to live up to when you look at perfectionism. It's like everybody's got their own idealism of perfectionism, but it's about accepting who you are and loving those things that aren't the greatest about you, but understanding they make you.
This week, my guest is Martine Gibson, and she is a therapeutic coach. Martine, welcome to Great Conversations. How are you today?
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm great, thank you, Nick. I'm good.
Good. So, we're going to start this episode like we always do with your question that was left by the previous guest. I love your question. Martine, which song would be the soundtrack of your life and why?
I'm kind of liking Alicia Keys' This Girl Is on Fire, because I think every chapter of my life, you know, there's always been something, but I've always had like the tenacity and the endurance and the strength, resilience to get through everything. And I suppose right now as well, it's just like, yeah, I'm on fire, but not on fire like where I'm burning. I mean, like on fire where, yeah, I'm going to get through this. I'm doing good. Where I grow from it, kind of like the phoenix, when the phoenix rises from the ashes and turns into the flame, the fire. So yeah.
That's exactly what I was thinking when you said that. I was like, it's sort of that phoenix from the ashes analogy, isn't it, of transforming. And what's been like the biggest transformation in your life where that would like really resonate?
Oh, um, God, I get all emotional when I think about it. 2013. It's a bit of a long story, but I'll try and make it as short as possible. 2013, I was working for a social enterprise, and I had a conversation with the then HR director, and we were talking about some managers not taking up opportunities and not wanting them. And my thought was, God, I would bite your hand off for an opportunity like that. And I kind of said that. It's just like, I would love an opportunity like that. I wasn't a manager at the time. I was just like one step below. And so I wasn't up for the opportunity. Must have been about a week later. And she kind of walked in the office with a hand out. And I was like, what are you doing? She went, bite my hand off. And I went, why? She went, because you're doing it. Well, I was made up. So the opportunity was to go and train to be a personal performance coach with the International Coaching Academy with the late John Haynes. And I even remember the day it happened. We were doing the Shield of Life, and it was all about the Shield of Life. I can't remember it exactly the way he did it, but there was just one section. I can see it now. And the one section's like, what are you doing everything for? Why are you here? What are you doing it for? And it was for my daughter. And I just thought, I do everything for her. And at the time I was really, really low. I was like super low to the point where I just didn't like who I was. I wasn't confident. I I was just feeling really down. Didn't have much about me. So my self-esteem was on the floor, and I just wanted somebody to see something in me that I knew was in me, but I was feeling like I couldn't catch a break. But doing that one exercise made me think, God, I'm doing all this for my daughter. But at the other time, I feel so low and so down, and our home's the private place. So she must be seeing that. She's not seeing the brave picture I was putting onto people. She was seeing the real me. So it just made me think, I need to change. What am I teaching my daughter? I want her to understand and know that she can do, be, and have anything she dreamed of. Yeah, I was pretending. So it just clicked. And I think I cried for about 6 weeks after it. And I was just like, I have got to do something. I've got to change. So I lost a lot of weight. I plucked up the courage to go for redundancy, and I left the job. Went to college half a day a week to start my journey to become a counsellor, psychotherapist. And 4 years later, I graduated on my 40th birthday. So yeah, it was just that one opportunity training with the late John Haynes. It just literally changed my life, literally in one like half an hour exercise. Never forget it.
Wow. That is, I've got goosebumps as you're talking. And that question, Jesus, what are you doing this for? Oh my God, that's so powerful.
That's it. It's like, what are you doing it for? What is your purpose? And I think without having a purpose, we are lost. We are absolutely lost as human beings. If we feel we've got no purpose, we are lost.
And what does that mean to you? Because I love this, I think purpose is something that you hear a lot. And I don't know if people fully understand what it means. Because I think also like when I started to investigate that, I felt like the purpose had to be something really grand, like I'm going to solve world peace again, it's just like this external pressure to like know it or to do it. So for you, what does purpose mean? And like, how do you even go about figuring out what yours is?
Purpose is one of the hardest things to do. And it's just like sometimes people never find the purpose and always feel like lost or like there's something missing. But purpose is so unique to an individual. So my purpose is my ultimate purpose, my main purpose of why I'm living and breathing is to be a good mum to my two babies. That comes before anything and anyone. I just need to be the best mum to those two babies. But if I can make a difference to just a handful of people, like the difference that was made to me in that room doing that one exercise, because I just think for everything I went through and all the experiences I had and all the dark times and the silly things I did, if I can come through that and turn my life around and I can feel so amazing, like I was on fire and nothing could touch me and nothing could stop me. What's to say I can't give a little bit of what I learned and pay it forward? So that's kind of like my secondary purpose is to ensure that when I find when I find people who are like me, the person that I used to be, I just want to be able to empower them and give them the tools and the techniques and help them on their journey of I kind of call it guided discovery and for them to becoming the best possible version of themselves, to feel like they're on fire. I call it finding your magic.
I'm not surprised that you're using the analogy of fire. It sounds like it's so representative of, as you say, like your purpose and your story. And what would you say your magic is?
There's a few little things. So for me, it's I hear the unsaid words. I'm good with secrets, if that makes sense. So you know the deep dark things that nobody wants to tell people, but they show it in other ways rather than verbally. It's like that whole I'm feeling fine today. I'm showing you that I'm not feeling fine because I'm shaking my head and I'm talking in a way. So I hear that. Everybody that I work with, I hold them like the precious and I treat them like the precious, but I don't baby them. I don't mollycoddle them. I empower them, but I do it with fun and I do it with realism because I've got a lot of life experience. I don't teach, I facilitate learning, and learning has to be fun. So I do it in a creative way that brings a bit of fun, but also about treating people special and hearing what they're not saying.
It's so important, isn't it? Like, I think the whole world of self-awareness and self-development, it can be heavy at times because obviously I think what you're talking to, like, when people face their anger or people face their shadows and they don't want to, so what they do is they run away from it and run away from it, and then it, as you say, it shows up with problems in their life, and that's what they're afraid of. And I think there's a there's a real sweet spot of bringing levity to it and curiosity and fun, and it doesn't have to be so heavy because ultimately, I mean, light and dark have to coexist. They can't not. And so it is about learning how to, I think, hold what is maybe the darker sides of you with a lightness, and being able to laugh at it rather than maybe the heaviness. And so how do you do that? Like, what are some of the tips and tricks that you that you use to help people do that?
It's to try and get people to understand themselves through their own learning. But using analogies is really good. I always say that humans, we are like potatoes. Right? Bear with me.
Well, I mean that's landing for an Irish girl. My ancestors are like, oh, we like you already.
We like you, yeah. But this is it. We are like potatoes because we grow in the darkness. And this is the thing, that darkness is where we do our growing. And it's those dark times that are our difficult times. But if we just keep on and keep persevering and, keep faith and trust in ourselves that we will work it out, because we always do. Because whenever I speak to anybody, the question I always ask is, how many of your bad days, of your worst days, have you survived? And every single person will sit there and go, I don't know. It's like, all of them. You are sitting here with me today. You've survived all of them. You've come through every single one of them. And it's just about, teaching people to have faith and trust in themselves that they've got what it takes. But yeah, I think another big thing is teaching people to be self-compassionate.
Yeah. Oh, it's huge, isn't it?
Yeah. So many people, and I'm guilty of it myself. We are all guilty of it. We do have those days of doubt, those weeks of doubt. We all do it, and that's okay, as long as we don't unpack and live there. Do you know what I mean? But it's about managing them. And self-compassion is something that is just so lacking in the world.
Yeah. And I think it starts from like, I totally agree. And for me, it starts with doing what you're talking to, which is stopping and facing the darkness. Because unless we truly know, we've got to know yourself before you can love yourself and give yourself compassion. And oftentimes we don't. I mean, the way that we live the world now is just, we're always on, we're always running from one thing to the next. And you and I have spoken about this before, but like my whole philosophy over the past couple of years has been to slow down, to like really embrace this slow living. Because before I wasn't. I was so busy and so in my head and so terrified of who I was that I did everything that I could to numb myself from that. And stopping and getting to know myself has been the greatest gift. And you have to live a slower existence, I think, if you really want to lean into compassion.
Yeah. Because I find people just beat themselves up. Oh, shouldn't have been like this. Oh, shouldn't have got angry. Oh, shouldn't have done this. And I always say, like in the therapy room with me, shoulda, woulda, coulda, should have, would have, could have. They get bored.
And why is it unhelpful?
Because when you think I should have, I could have, it's like it leaves room for doubt, like you've done something wrong. But if you were to go back to that moment in that time, you did what you thought was best. So I should have done that. Well, you didn't do that. You did this because that's what you thought was best at the time. So don't beat yourself up and berate yourself for doing what you thought was best. Okay. If you look at it now and evaluate it in hindsight and see that it doesn't work well, then it's about learning from that and not doing the same thing again. It's called a life lesson. But when you think of, oh, I should have done that, you're beating yourself up. I could have done it that way, couldn't I? You're beating yourself up.
Yeah. And it also, like, it assumes that there's a right way. And I think that's something that I always struggle with is, I think when you go down that path, the assumption is that there's a right way for you to live life. And so it's predefined. So by you making a wrong decision or failing or a mistake, then, as you say, then there was a right decision and you made the wrong one. But actually, there's not, is there? There's just life. And like exactly what you said, you just, all you can do is live moment to moment.
Yeah. It's what you thought was the right thing to do at that time. And then that's why you get a lot of people with regret.
I think, I guess I'm curious of like, where's when's it helpful to look back and to maybe have regrets that then inform your future decisions versus living in regret, and then it becomes heavy and and unhelpful.
I suppose that, again, everything is all so unique to the individual about how they conceptualize things and process stuff. But when we look at shoulda, woulda, coulda in terms of the last words of a fool, it is all about regret, and it's all about looking back on your life and being sad for all the things you didn't do, and living with regret. Because when you live with regret, it's a sad life. It's a painful life. It's like when you say, when people are saying, "Oh, the past is in the past for a reason, leave it there." I will never ever agree with that. Again, that's my personal preference, because if I didn't have the past, all the adversity, the good things, the bad things, the happy things, the sad things that happened to me, I would not be who I am today. And what I've got to offer, and the person I am, and the mum I am, I love who I am today, but I wouldn't be who I am today if I hadn't have gone through everything in my past. So I'll never look back saying shoulda, woulda, coulda, and I'll never look back with regret. And every bad thing that's ever happened to me, as much as it was tough at the time and bad and negative, it's made me who I am. And I get to give what I've learned, and I get to give it and share it with people to help them on their journey. So I'll never regret anything. But if I regret what's happened to me and the choices I've made, I'd be in a different place right now. If I'd still be here, let's put it that way.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. Like, I was going to ask how, like, what was your journey to getting to where you are today?
So, I had a traumatic experience when I was 10. Um, my brother was sectioned. I've got a brother, he's a little bit older. He's got paranoid schizophrenia, and he was sectioned in front of me. I remember playing out. One of the kids from the square came running, "Martine, there's police, they're everywhere, and your mom and your brother." And I was just like, I just jumped up and legged it home. So for me, my brother was like the be all and end all. He was my hero. And yeah, I got to the square and every neighbour was out. My mum was there crying with um, a lady that I refer to as like my auntie, like my second mum type of thing. So they were there crying. She was consoling my mum, and everyone was just out watching. And I came in, and my brother was just like crying, and people were trying to get him, and I was just like, I was wanting to kill. I was 10. I was wanting to hurt someone. I was just, leave him alone, get off him. What are you doing to him? And the doctors got him. There was police, there was doctors, there was an ambulance. So it was just like horrific. And then I think from then on, I just hated everyone and everything. I was just so angry. I just used to fight all the time, get in arguments, not care. I just stopped giving a shit, basically. And I just wasn't a very nice teenager. There was all kinds that went on, doing stupid stuff, making bad decisions. And then that whole, I am so misunderstood, why can't people just see the good in me? Because I know I'm good. People just seen the bad. Until that one lady gave me that opportunity when I was 34. And I was just like, someone's finally given me the opportunity. But what I did learn was I was looking for somebody to see something in me and to save me. But I just really saw what was already there, and I saved myself. So yeah, that's why. So I just think with mental health as well, it's like, I know some mental health disorders really do need, or mental health illnesses need medication and, psychiatric care and primary care, but there's a lot of things that can be helped by just talking. Just talk to someone. I just needed someone to talk to me, just to see who I was, just to give me the time of day and not have to live up to expectations, because I grew up in a white area and there was only me and a few other people that were like black or mixed race. And it was just like, I had something to prove. I had things to live up to. I remember at one point I wanted to be white to fit in with all my friends. I wanted to be white with straight hair and pretty. So there was a lot of things that happened throughout my life that chipped away at my self-esteem and my confidence. And I just didn't like who I was. And it wasn't until I was 34, getting given that opportunity, that I really thought, wow, I'm really good. I've got something to offer the world and I'm going to offer it.
Oh my gosh. I mean, just the amount of when you talked about anger and just carrying like the anger with you through a huge part of your life, and that was a blocker to, you know, really bringing your true, I mean, that was your shield, wasn't it? By the sounds of it, was anger. Like, you know, this is going to protect me from you truly being seen or hurt. And but then, as you say, it comes at a price, doesn't it? So what were some of the things that helped you move through the anger?
Yeah. Um, I think it was life events, like becoming a mum, because part of me was really angry at my mum because she let them take my brother. But then becoming a mum and seeing how hard it is to raise a child, it was kind of like, now I understand. And part of me, at, at the start of my process, felt really guilty. I started having empathy for others. I really learned the true meaning of empathy and understanding that everybody's fighting battles. At 30, in my mum, she was 34, maybe 35. She was a single mum to 5 kids of two different colours. And she'd gone through so much. And on her own, she had to make the decision to get my brother sectioned. I didn't understand the enormity of that decision. When I was 10, 11, it was just like, you've took my brother away. You've let them take him like that in front of everyone. You've took my hero away from me. But she lost her son that day. And it's just like, as a mum, God, what would I do? What would I do in that position if that was me and my child? So empathy, learning empathy, and it can be, it's understanding, it's being able to really look at your anger and understand what purpose your anger is serving. Is it hiding vulnerability? Is it hiding pain? Is it hiding fear? Anger's a mask. It's a necessary thing. It's a necessary and very basic emotion. So it's the first emotion we feel, but it's the emotion that everybody shuns and says you shouldn't feel that. You should put your anger away. No, don't put your anger away. Feel it, but understand it. What is it hiding? What purpose is your anger serving for you? Because again, it's different for every individual. My anger was serving, gosh, so many emotions. It was serving, it was a mask for so many different things: fear, vulnerability, lost, feeling lost, not having anybody. There was no one there. I was on my own then, because me and my older brother were the only ones that were mixed race. So it was just like, my other brothers and sisters are white, and my mum's white, and we were in a white area. So he was all I had. He's what I connected to. So it was just like, now I'm on my own. Now I'm scared. Now I've got no one. Who's going to help me?
How could somebody have reached you then? What could someone have done or said that would have helped cut through that? Like what did you need?
It's a tricky one, but to break through a person like I was when I was in my teens, 20s, is don't stop. Don't stop. Don't give up on the person, even if they are angry and even if they push you away. You say a person tries 10 times to tell you something before they can actually tell you. Patient. Be patient. But just don't give up on them. Keep trying, keep trying, and keep trying. Because you're trying to break down walls that a person has built up to protect themselves. If you're trying to break down that wall, that person's got to trust you. Trust isn't built up overnight. It's the long game.
I love that, because like what you're saying is just show up. And I think sometimes people jump to problem solve and don't they, or wanting to fix you. And actually what I'm hearing you say is you don't need that. You just need someone to be there and like yeah, just show up. You don't need to do anything other than to physically show up, and then take the lead from the other person.
A lot of the time, what I've found, given the work I do, people don't want fixing. And they will say things to you like, how are you going to fix me? I always say to them, why is there something wrong with you? Because I don't think there's anything wrong with people. You don't need fixing. You're not broken, And it's just like,
I agree. I say it all the time, Martine. It's about acceptance. It's not about fixing. Because then fixing is, you're then trying to put yourself together, back together in a way that what conforms with external society. Like, what if you just are? So what if you just go into this with learning to love and accept who you are fully and bringing that to the world?
that is absolutely spot on there, because it is about loving yourself. But to love yourself, you have to love all your bad bits too, or you're not the things that you perceive as your bad bits or your faults or whatever. It's just like, because there's no such thing as perfection. It's like, what is perfection? But I just want to be perfect for who? Because it's these standards that we're trying to live up to when you look at perfectionism. It's like everybody's got their own idealism of perfectionism, but it's about accepting who you are and loving those things that aren't the greatest about you, but understanding they make you. All my anger and my experiences I had in anger, I get to pass on to other people. And I don't mean like pass on, like give them the anger. I pass on my learning. I can educate people on what this is what, anger can bring up for some people, and this is that experience. And it helps me to have an abundance of empathy. It really does.
And how do you like deal with anger in a healthy way? Because I love what you're saying. Like, you're so right. It's an emotion that I think a lot of us are really afraid of. I think particularly like if, for women as well, there's like an angry woman. It's just a sort of, it's not an emotion that it's shamed, I think, quite a lot for women. And then I think when you think of anger, you associate it more with men and then with violence. And so I think that's also why it's such a complicated emotion to sit with, and people can easily go to shame and judgment around it. So, given that it actually is an infinite source of so much wisdom, because like what you're saying, it's here to sort of teach you, what are you masking, what are you hiding, what are you afraid of, what are your vulnerabilities. Like, there's so much richness there, isn't there, in the concept of it. So, what are some of the ways that we can, I guess, be more comfortable with anger and use it in a healthy way to really grow from?
Yeah. I think the first thing to do is to understand what anger is for you, because anger is different for everybody. So it's understanding, okay, first of all, recognizing when you're angry. So it's like when, like, there's a physiological thing that happens when we're angry. It goes to like the blood rushes to our jaw and the hands. And, have you ever seen like a thermal image, and it's like clenched jaw, and on a thermal imaging, the hands are red and like yellowy, and the jawline is, and it's just like, oh, and then the stance as well. It's like an innate response. So it's understanding when you recognize, and when you're angry, how does your body feel? It's about being mindful. It's about just taking things, like we were saying earlier, a little bit slow. Slowly is the fastest way to get anywhere in life. It really, truly is. Slowly is the fastest way to get anywhere. So it's about taking your time with yourself, being kind and compassionate.
But how do you do that in the moment? Because like, it's so hard, isn't it? Like what you say, when you're having an argument with someone, you you're not, you like, as you say, there's physiological symptoms that are going on in your body, so you're not even probably activating your prefrontal cortex to be able to rationally think. You're just so swept up in the whole emotion. Like, how do you diffuse that, like, in the moment? Like, are there some techniques to even get yourself to the point where you're then mindful of what you do need?
Everything in life we do is practice and consistency. So it was about recognizing when I was angry, but I had to get angry to recognize when I was angry. And sometimes my anger, I did blow off the handle, and then I'd be like, oh shit, what have I done? And then if I could feel myself getting angry, I'd be like, oh, then I'd be like, wait, stop it, Mart, stop it, Mart, stop it, Mart. And then it just be like deep breathing in the moment, just listen to them. And it's a journey. It's not something you can just do overnight. It's like learning to ride a bike. you get on with the intention to ride the bike, but you fall off. And that happens so many times before that first time. And you're riding the bike and you don't even know it. You still think your mum or your dad or your big sister or brother or whoever has still got hold of the back. And then you turn around and they're like, oh my God, I'm doing it. And then bump, you fall off again. It's exactly the same. It's a journey, like self-awareness, anger management. It's just about learning. It's about patience. It's about practicing what you know, but it's also about being uncomfortable.
And it does take a lot of compassion, patience, self-awareness, and then, as you say, having the people around you that, I think that's probably for me one of the most powerful and beautiful things we can do. It's what you said right at the beginning, is you be that mirror to other people and reflect back to them their beauty and their worthiness and their value. Um, and it doesn't come naturally to most people, and I think it's okay to acknowledge that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right in what you say. It doesn't come naturally to some people, and it's really uncomfortable for people.
And if you think that, like, the starting point is self-worth and self-love and acceptance, how are you building that in your kids? Like, how are you imparting that?
With my daughter, we started off with affirmations. So it's all about like and conversations. We used to do this little thing on the way to school when she was in primary school, and I used to walk her to school. And I used to always say to her, what are you made of? And she'd say, the good stuff. And I say, what have you got inside you? And she'd say, magic. And then I said to her, what can you do? She said, anything I put my mind to. So it's just affirmations, I think, really, really work. Because when you think of us as adults, and we look at those adults, because we can get in our heads and spiral. I mean, the way I sit here and I say, well, we need to do this and we can do that, and these are the ways that I've done, and I still have my down days where I look in the mirror and I just think, not today, Mart. Or I close the blinds and go, I'm getting off the world, having a little bit of solitude because I can't cope with life right now. Life is not life and how I want it to be. So I have my days. I have my days where I cry because being a mum is hard. Do you know what I mean? So it's just like all those things that I say I've overcome, they still come into my life. I am just better equipped at managing them because the stress and, adversity and tough times are part of life. They have to happen and they will always happen. But a lot of people think that life should be a bed of roses and all singing, all dancing because of social media and blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, no, adversity, darkness, the stretch of life, the pulling, the pushing, the ebb and the flow, it's real and it's going to happen. But you have to be equipped to deal with it, because if you're not, then you are going to plummet. It is about affirming yourself. It is about evaluating each day and thinking, what did I do? That was good today. But another big part of my daily practice is gratitude. Keeps me sane.
I have had the past three guests on this podcast have all spoken about gratitude as being one of the biggest practices, and I'm the same. I started a regular daily gratitude practice probably about 18 months ago, and it has fundamentally changed my outlook in life. It's ridiculous. It takes me 30 seconds. What is one thing that you're most grateful for in your life?
Um, I would say being healthy. I value health as being your greatest wealth. And I totally, totally believe that, because if you're unhealthy, you can't enjoy anything. We only kind of value stuff when it's not going right for us. So it's like, why be sick to value your health? Why not value it anyway? And I just think without our health, whether it be physical, emotional, mental, we can't fully live.
Oh my God. Well, I hadn't even thought that question would be that your answer would be the answer to the question I usually ask all my guests, which is about what's something other people value um, that you don't.
Yeah, health.
Thank you so much for our conversation today. Thank you for sharing your story and being so honest about where you've come from, what's in your heart. And yeah, I'm very grateful for you, Martine. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. And I you, and thank you very much for having me.
What an episode, oh my word. If you were inspired by Martine's story and you maybe want to take some time to discover your purpose or bring more self-compassion and empathy into your life, or maybe you are dealing with some anger management issues yourself and you just want to work through them, as always, Integrate, we are here. We have the resources, tools, community to help you with that. So please check us out, www.integrate.net. I can't quite believe I'm saying this, but that is the end of season 3 of Great Conversations. We're going to take a little break and we will be back later on in the summer. It goes without saying, I want to thank all of my guests for their willingness to show up and honestly share their journey. Stea Marit, my editor, eternally grateful to you, and also Jamie Jenkin for the beautiful music. I'm sending you all so much love. Have a nice few weeks, and I'll see you again back in the summer.